How's it going, everyone? Wayne the Unknown here, and welcome to another episode of Cosplay Con Talk, where we basically discuss everything pertaining to the cosplay community and conventions. Tonight, we are doing another segment on Get to Know That Cosplayer, and tonight's featured guest is cosplayer and cosplay photographer Haylie Jens. How are we doing tonight, Haylie?
Doing good. How about yourself?
I am doing really well. Again, I want to thank you for coming on to talk about your cosplay and convention experience along with your cosplay photography as well. So,
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
oh, you're very welcome. So, to begin, what got you into cosplaying?
Well, the first time I even heard about it was I was in eighth grade, middle school. It was 2010. And my best friend, well, actually, it was 2009. My best friend was going to Anime Expo that year. And she was showing me like all the videos that she had on YouTube that she was, watching and getting excited for. And she was going to be cosplaying with friends. I was like, that sounds kind of cool. I want to do that. And the next year, I went to the next Anime Expo 2010 with her. And I bought a just a random not a random cosplay. It was my favorite series at the time, Vampire Knight. Yuki Cross. I cosplayed her to yeah, Anime Expo 2010, and then just
Uh, that
I just
sounds
got
that sounds about right with the anime
yeah.
for that year. And so you said you went as Yuki
Yeah.
Cross from Vampire Knight.
Yeah.
Did you happen to see any zeros there?
It actually didn't. It was really weird because that was like its dubbing year. So it was supposed to be like, a big exciting thing, but I was the only I think I might have seen maybe some night. But at the time, Anime Expo was still fairly small. It wasn't like it is now.
Oh no, I've seen pictures and videos of how big Anime Expo can get, and that's in Los Angeles, correct?
Yeah, it's the LA Convention Center, right smack in downtown.
Jeez, right where they have Anime Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Jeez. So what was it like cosplaying as Yuki from Vampire Knight?
It was fun. It was more casual at the time. I just used like my natural hair and just kind of wore what it came with. I didn't know basically anything about cosplay at the time. But even so, it was still a popular anime at the time. So people would like stop me for pictures, and I was like, "Okay, I'm just gonna stand here and smile because I don't know how to pose." It was so fun though.
Well, at least you had fun, and I think that's all that should matter. So was it like a big culture shock to you going to your first convention?
Think I was mostly surprised that it wasn't all like shopping. Because usually when you see like if they talk about like, San Diego Comic Con on the news or whatever, they're showing like the big exhibition hall and everyone hanging out in there and getting autographs and that kind of stuff. But that was my first experience even with like panels and I guess just cosplay culture in general. But I think it was still small enough at the time that it wasn't like a super big shock as far as well, except maybe golfing was that was kind of a thing at the time. My best friend was telling me about it. I was like, no one touched me. He's like looking around the whole time, paranoid about it.
Nice. Have you ever made any of your own cosplays before, or do you just buy them?
I have like bought pieces and then added to them. So like for one of my biggest cosplays, Prompto from Final Fantasy 15,
Yes.
got the vest and then like two separate red flannels and like sewed like cut them up and sewed them separately because he has the two different patterns. And then bought the patches but like sewed those in myself.
Yeah,
And
he's got
then the
that he's got that grungy look to him.
yeah, exactly. With the pants, I got like black, just plain straight leg black jeans. And then it's like three layers of paint because like me and my best friend, she helped me with it. We couldn't really figure out how to do it. So we did like a layer of gold and then stamped in the cheetah pattern and then did black over it again to kind of make it like faded. So it's, crusty and kind of hard to walk in, but I didn't make it, but I altered it. That's the word I'm looking for.
And there is nothing wrong with altering it. You're kind of giving your own style and flair to it, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, speaking of Prompto, you also cosplayed as his high school version from the anime.
Yeah, I did.
And I take it Prompto's probably one of your favorite characters to cosplay as.
Yeah, I mean the background on my computer right now, he's there.
Everyone's got to love their favorite photographer, Chocobo loving boy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that was my first Final Fantasy game, and so it's kind of more now that I'm actually more into the series. It's as a whole, it's still like he was kind of what got me into the series as a whole because he kept me there and got me to interact with people within the fandom.
Nice. And the wig looks pretty well done too.
Yeah, I actually commissioned that from on Instagram. It's Pasara Cosplay. I don't think she's active anymore, but it was pretty expensive. But she did a really, really good job on it. I mean, I can restyle it without having to have, I don't have a lot of like fancy wig making or styling experience. But because of the way she styled it with like extra wefts and stuff, I can just throw some hairspray in it. It just kind of goes poof.
Nice. Now, speaking of, putting your cosplays together, what is your thought on thrifting, especially for cosplayers who are on a budget?
I think it's awesome. I mean, I thrifted the blazer for high school prompto. I think even my button up I got from a thrift store. And then I got the shoes from him at a thrift store. Some of my other cosplays, I have just like little random pieces that I picked up at thrift stores. I mean, especially if you even have like, I don't, but I've seen some people that have like sewing experience that can alter items that to make it more accurate. It's a really great way to reuse items that would otherwise either just sit in there for years and go to waste, or instead of, buying new items, you get to be more conscious about what you're using in that way.
Right. Oh, that's
Less waste.
that's that's good.
Yeah.
Now, got a few more questions pertaining to your cosplays. What is that one cosplay that you've not done in so long that you would want to potentially bring back when you go to your next convention?
It's kind of a back and forth, not back and forth. Okay, so I used to my one of my second cosplay was Ezio from Assassin's Creed 2.
Nice.
But I went to go get it one time, go into Anime Expo, I went to go pack it up, and it was just like gone. I've moved a lot, like since I bought it to when I last wanted to wear it. So it could be maybe in like three different places, and I've searched those places and I can't find it. So I want to cosplay him again, but I'll probably have to buy a whole new cosplay or commission it or something.
What was it like cosplaying as Ezio Auditore from Assassin's Creed 2?
I think that one was kind of what got me more into like wanting to be a part of the cosplay community because people would like really wanted photos of that one.
I
For a
mean,
bot cos, it was like really well detailed. It looked really good.
you don't
And
see a lot of Ezio cosplayers nowadays,
yeah, I
let
mean,
alone like Assassin's Creed cosplayers. Like they're kind of a
yeah,
rare breed nowadays.
yeah, because even at the time there were more, but it was mostly Altair cosplayers. I think two at the time was the most recent. I don't think even Brotherhood had come out when I first got that.
No, probably not.
Yeah,
And
but
I think Ezio was what kind of sparked the whole Assassin's Creed cosplay.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. So most of the people that wanted to take pictures with me were Altair cosplayers. But there was one time, I think I was in, I don't remember which hall it was, this smaller hall of anime. And someone stopped me for a photo, and I stood there for like 5 minutes because people kept coming up like wanting to take a photo, wanting to take a photo. So I just stood there in the same pose for like 5 minutes, like I leave now. I have a panel to go to.
You're
But I
gonna
was
be
like 16.
late.
Yeah, I had no idea what to do. I was just like, cosplay, that's cool. But it was cool. I mean, people were really nice about it. When I kind of started to be kind of like, how many more people are there? It was like, oh, we're sorry, if you need somewhere to be. They were super nice. It was just really awkward.
I've noticed, I've heard from other cosplayers that there's gonna be that one cosplay that you wear when you go to a con. People are just gonna stop you nonstop for a picture or a
Yeah,
selfie, and it's just like.
yeah. Ezio was always that one. Yeah.
And you do have every right to say no, especially since you sound like you were on your way to try to get to a panel.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like, especially now, like I've seen coming out of kind of quarantine right now, a lot of younger cosplayers are starting to go to their first cons, and that's something that should definitely be like emphasized. Like if you don't want photos taken of you, you can be like, no, I'm not comfortable with that, thank you though. Or if you want to change socials or whatever. But like you don't have to feel obligated for people to let people take pictures of you. That's
Oh
not
yeah, no, that's that was actually brought up in a panel I did for convention safety and awareness.
yeah.
That if you don't want your photo taken, you do have the right to refuse and
Yeah.
everything. Which actually was going to be my next question. What is some advice you would like to give for first time cosplayers and con goers?
Um, Definitely I feel like, I mean, setting boundaries is huge, especially when it comes to photos and stuff. But even just like as far as like physical contact, and especially now with COVID still being a thing, if you even if you go to a con and they say, you don't have to wear masks. Like if you're not comfortable being close to someone who isn't wearing a mask, then, you know, tell them, make sure you keep your just because you're in cosplay and you're a character and people want to interact with you because you're their favorite character, whatever gets them excited about it. You're still you and you're not that character, and you can't let people treat you as if you're just the character that they can, you're fictional, so it doesn't matter. No, you're still a person in a cosplay and you have your boundaries and you can set them.
Oh
Doesn't
yeah.
matter how old or how young you are, just make sure you stay safe and comfortable even while having fun.
Well, no, wholeheartedly agree on that. Especially with all these
Yeah.
new people that are just discovering cosplay. They're like, oh, this looks interesting and fun. I want to try this. It's like, yeah, you
Yeah.
can try this. Just be careful. Start on something small. Even if you get like go as a casual version of a character, especially if you don't have a whole lot of money. Because I know there are those first time cosplayers that are be like want to try to like get this awesome new cosplay like Cloud from Final Fantasy VII or Iron Man. It's like
Yeah.
if you're on a budget, start small. I think
Yeah, absolutely.
it's the one thing that needs to be expressed more. It's something I plan on bringing up in another podcast called Cosplay Safety and Awareness. Like, if you're just starting out, start small and then slowly work your way up. I'm sure that's what you did when you first started out. Was you were starting small and with what budget
Yeah,
you
just
had.
going your yeah. Yeah, because I feel like, especially with, the social media age of cosplay, as people want to call it, it's so easy to look at other people and see these incredible builds of people who've been doing this for like decades, 10, 20 years even sometimes. Or people who have, a little team to help them make giant props or, big tails and wings and it's not I think a lot of people will see photo shoots of that. Like, oh, I want to cosplay that, and then they wear it to a con and don't realize they can't even fit in the front doors. Or they get stuck the whole time and they can't go do anything because people want to go, they want to take photos the whole time.
Oh yeah,
So it's
no, definitely.
to be conscious of.
It's just crazy trying to see a cosplayer in a big cosplay go up an escalator or into an elevator to get onto the second
Yeah.
floor. It's just like how like I commend cosplayers who can put on those big bulky armored cosplays and just get up an elevator. I mean, get into an elevator or up an escalator without ease.
Yeah. I mean, it takes a certain kind of skill for sure.
Oh yeah, no. Now, have you ever had any cosplay mishaps, whether it's at a con or getting ready for the con?
Yeah, actually, the first time I wore Prompto, it was again Anime Expo. It was 2018, and we had a huge heat wave that week. It was stupid hot, and I hadn't had time to sew in my patches onto the pants, so they were hot glued.
Oh, that's right. He's got gray patches or so on his pants.
Yeah, yeah, and so they were only hot glued. And so by the time we took, because we were staying in Little Tokyo, which is like they have their whole shuttle system, so we had the bus to the
So
concept.
jealous.
And it's honestly really awesome. But we got from the bus to the con center, and in that time, just going in, you have to wait in the line, but it's maybe 2 minutes. Scan your badge, get in. And my patches are like peeling off of my pants. So we had, and I was going to a photo shoot. I was gonna go do a photo shoot for someone. And I'm like, me and my friend are sitting there. She's like trying to like re-stick the patches on for me. And I'm like, I have places to be. He's sitting on the con floor, putting my patches onto my thing.
Hmm.
Funny, but it was kind of sad. Oh, and I sweated my freckles off that day too because it was that hot.
Oh, that's right. He has freckles as well, huh?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
go,
And
go,
at that
goes to
time, I
show how
was
long
just
it's been since I played the game.
yeah. I think I'm gonna revisit it.
The furthest I got in that game, spoilers to as anyone played, I got to where you get the choice to either bring Ignis with you after his eyes get damaged in that one level.
Far in, yeah.
Ugh.
Pretty close to the end.
Almost. I haven't played it in a while. I kind of gave up on that because the DLCs were only limited and you can't like play them anytime.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the DLC system for the game was a little weird.
It's like, oh yeah, we're coming up with the DLCs just so you know. It's only for a limited
Yeah.
time only. So it's like, fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, before we get into the photography side of your of cosplaying, do you have any other favorite cosplays that you've done over the years?
Definitely Seto Kaiba is one of my huge favorites.
Ooh, from
It's
Yuki,
just
nice.
point, I think the first time it was another one that I bought. It was 2013, ALA 2013. And the coat is white. It's seen a lot of cons and it has a lot of floor stains and it's I've lost pieces for it, but
Definitely,
I'm
it's seen its wear, tear, and rust.
absolutely, yeah. So I'm looking to either remake it or rebuy it. I would like to do some work into making it because I do have a certain kind of extra pride with having done a lot of the cosplay for Prompto by hand. So I want to do something like that at least for Kaiba because it is another one of my really favorite ones.
And
Um,
he's got a big old white jacket too, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, it's like floor length trench coat status. It doesn't have sleeves, so it's not super hot, but I mean, I've had to pick it up many a times going up escalators so I don't get sucked in. Yeah.
Uh, did
And
and
it's got
you
sort
had
of,
a dual disc for him, right, too?
yes.
Nice.
I bought it from some rando on Tumblr like the year before for like 25 bucks. And they're like 100 something now, I
Oh yeah,
think, to
no,
get.
they're like I remember I used to have like one of the original ones
Yeah.
back in the day, and they're worth quite a bit of money now.
Yeah, and it was like 25 bucks and it was just some random person on Tumblr selling it. And I'm like, I'm really lucky I didn't get scammed money.
Oh yeah, no.
It doesn't work, but it does like fold. So if you like do the thing, it'll like come out.
Oh
But
yep,
like the
yep. I'm fully
yeah.
familiar with those things.
Yeah.
I used to love that thing.
Yeah.
Oh man. Any other future characters you wanted to cosplay later down the road?
Yeah, I have actually a few that I have bought over the course of quarantine that I just haven't taken photos of or gotten into. But the main one I have 2B from Near Automata.
Oh,
Like I have everything other than like her sword, but I could just go out and cosplay her. I just haven't yet because I don't know where to go to take photos. And my best friend and slash roommate, is always working. And it's like, I don't know to ask if they want.
yeah.
Plus, I'm
I remember the
character
year of the one when Near Automata came out. It was just the year of 2B and C2 cosplays.
yeah, everywhere, everywhere. I hadn't even played the game. I already was going to cosplay it with a friend because they were doing 9S,
Mm-hmm.
but it kept getting pushed back because either I was doing a different cosplay or I didn't have the money for it at the time or whatever. And then
I highly recommend the game. It's pretty good.
well, I finally did play it during quarantine. We got a free trial to GameFly and it was on there. I was like, maybe that one. And it was I got hooked into it for sure. Like I actually ended up buying it after the fact because I really, really liked it. The music's incredible, of course.
Nice. Definitely gives you that Final Fantasy aspect to it for
For
sure.
sure, yeah.
Now, do you have any cosplay or convention horror stories you'd like to share, whether it be a good experience, bad experience, stuff like that?
Hmm. I'm not super like don't really go to like the parties and stuff at cons, so I don't really have like really big horror stories. I think my best slash worst con experience would have probably been just the last anime expo we had, which was 2019. Because it's stupid busy now. Like we actually spent our entire like merch budget on Ubers because like I was doing photo shoots, I had to get to places at the right time.
Right.
And sometimes the wait would be like 2 hours. And it's like I don't have 2 hours to waste. I have to get to the con now.
Oh, duly noted. Be careful when taking an Uber when if I ever go to Anime Expo.
Yeah, I mean it's I'm assuming because of the whole COVID situation, hopefully they'll put like a ticket cap on it, which we've been asking for like 3 years anyway.
A ticket cap. What's
Just to make sure that only a certain amount of people can actually go, like what Comic-Con does, San Diego Comic-Con
Oh
does.
yeah, yeah, because there's like a lot of cons that are like slowly growing to where they're gonna have to like limit. It's what they do for BlizzCon and E3 nowadays.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I should say this. I don't know if it's like confirmed. I'm pretty sure it is. But if it's not, you can cut it out. They knowingly go over the head count of what's supposed to be the capacity for the con center and just kind of like pay off fire marshal fees for that because they just make so much money and the con center wants them there so bad because it brings so much revenue to LA that they just kind of don't care. So
I
it's like, yeah, no, bring everyone.
I mean, honestly, I kind of agree on that. Like I know it's a double-edged sword, but I feel like there are so many cons. That's why like San Diego Comic Con, that's why their tickets are so jacked
Yeah,
that like even for one day you're probably looking at like a $200 ticket at least.
yeah, for sure. Like super.
So I mean,
But it's the same thing as like Disneyland. They raise the prices to get less people to show up.
which is not always a good thing because a lot of if you don't mind me asking, what is the standard price for a Anime Expo ticket just for like one day?
One day, I think it's around. Oh, I would guess like 60 because I always buy the 4 day, and the 4 day are like I think it was 130 last year for 4 days,
Hmm.
something like. I can't remember what the one day. I think they're like 50 or 60 around there.
Hmm. Interesting.
Which some cons you can go 3 or 4 days for that price.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Now, before we get into the cosplay photography side, any last minute advice you'd like to give for cosplayers and congoers?
Um, I would say just, there's going to be hecklers a lot regardless because there've been a lot of people who have been kind of armchair cosplayers now that it's all been online with quarantine. It's for fun, like do what cosplays you want. You don't have to look like the person. You don't even have to be into the series. If you like the design of a character, cosplay the character, like don't let other people make it less fun for you when that's the whole point. It's just to have fun with it.
I can't argue with that. I mean, I know there are some cosplayers who don't know anything about the character, but they'll cosplay him. But at the same time, they'll do what little research they can so they have an idea of what the character's like.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And that helps with like if you're gonna do photos, like posing, that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, no, most definitely. Now with the cosplay portion being done of your cosplays, we're now going to be into the cosplay photography side. So, how long have you been doing cosplay photography for?
Since 2017, that's actually when I started doing photography in general.
Nice. So about 4 years. That's a fairly good time.
Yeah, yeah, enough time to have a decent amount under my belt.
Nice. What's that been like for you doing photo shoots for cosplayers instead of being on the other end of the camera?
It honestly got me more into the community, and it's kind of a double-edged sword because I feel like it's easier for me to like connect with people or get to know other cosplayers and just be more involved in the community in general, which was kind of why I started. But the flip side of that is I feel like a lot of cosplayers only really talk to me because I do photography, and they like I, I don't want to say they're on in it for free shoots because I don't always do free shoots, but sometimes it kind of feels like they only talk to me because not everyone, but because I do photography, and they're like, "Oh, I get to have a photographer friend," as opposed to, "Hey, we're all a community, and we all love nerdy things." And sorry, that's my cat.
Hey, that's it's perfectly fine. It's not the first time a cat meowed during an interview.
So rude.
But you were saying though, it's you say that only cosplayers are into you because you do photography for cosplayers, and a lot of cosplayers think that it's for free.
Sometimes, yeah, I've met a lot of, I mean, I've made really good friends having met certain people through just doing a shoot for them here or there, and usually at cons. And, we're like really good friends now, and talk on social media, or even, just meet up at cons just to hang out. But there have been a couple people that it's like when I got my like upgraded camera, I got my camera.
Seems like your cat wants to be
I
part of
decided
the seems like your cat wants to be part of the podcast.
apparently, well, he's named after one of the characters I cosplay, so he probably thinks he's very important to this discussion.
What's your cat's name, if you don't mind me asking?
Felix Hugo Podarius.
From.
Final Fantasy. Oh my gosh. Fire Emblem Three Houses. Felix Hugo Feraldarius, but he's Podarius.
So whereas we were trying to say about the whole cosplay
Yeah,
photographers
yeah,
and not really getting that. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, there was one person at a smaller con that I had just gotten my upgraded camera, and so I was doing a free shoot with a friend because I wanted to like test out, the new thing. And I mentioned this to someone else who I'd done a few shoots with, but I wasn't like super good friends with. And I was like, "Oh yeah, after this, I'm just doing a free shoot with a friend." And they were kind of like they went, "Oh," and kind of like gave me a look and were like pointing at themselves. And I was like, "Yeah, if I have time, I'll let you know if I have time to do a shoot for you." And it was really, really awkward, but again, it was about setting boundaries, and I didn't really know how to do that at the time. So I didn't end up hitting them up again. I think I did the shoot and then just hung out with friends for the rest of the time until we left. But it was super awkward.
I mean, and people got to know that cosplay photographers, me being one myself, I remember a con. I first time I did a photo shoot, and I didn't know anything about pricing, so I did it was a photo shoot for this couple, and I charged like I think it was like $40 or so, because again I
Yeah,
didn't know anything about pricing at the time,
yeah, sure.
and um anyway what prices do you normally charge? Like, what are your rates when you do photo shoots for cosplayers?
It actually depends on the con because I try to be a little bit like businessy about it and do my cost of doing business. But I've never actually like made it into the green. Well, one con, an anime expo, I made it into the green. I actually made kind of profit off of it. Usually it just all goes back into con expenses. So I just kind of, if it's a more expensive con like Anime Expo, shush. If it's a more expensive con like Anime Expo, I'll charge around like, I mean, I'll usually do a sale to try to get people like in at first, so it'll be around like 70, and then after like a month or so, it'll go up to like 80, 85. But for smaller one day cons, I usually charge around like 40, 45. If it's close. Obviously, if it's further away, it'll be like closer to 50, 55 to cover the gap.
That's that's not a bad price.
Yeah, it's kind of hard pricing in the cosplay sphere because most people are, they're already paying for the con, so the most of their money is either for food or for transportation or even for like merch and stuff. So it really comes down to the people who, value the photography enough to pay for it. And also, a lot of cosplayers are younger and they either don't have their own source of income, or if they do, it's not a lot. So I try to find a balance of, I need to make sure I'm not going into the red for a con just because I want to do photos. But
Right.
also, if it's too much, people aren't going to book.
And there's always that, what I did one time is a thing I had. I don't know how many people do it, but like there's like that free photo, like saying, I'll do one for free, and if you would like to pay, like that kind
Yeah,
of
for
thing.
sure. Yeah, because my structure is usually a half an hour shoot, and I'll give 7 like digitals, and then but I deliver a whole gallery of like usually between like 25 and 40 photos, and if they want more, they can buy more from that. But if they don't, then they just pay the base rate or whatever and go on with their photos.
Exactly, which you really don't see a whole lot of.
Yeah, and yeah, usually once they actually see the photos, they're like, "Oh no, I want some more," because they look, they're excited to see actual like their cosplay showing off. I mean, that's the whole point.
No, no, most definitely.
Yeah.
Um, so, um, have you ever had like any trouble with cosplayers when it comes to doing a photo shoot? Like they try to scheme you on prices, or they try, like you said, they try to get a free photos when you're trying to charge them and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Basically, have you ever had any bad experiences?
yeah. As far as pricing goes, I don't, other than the one story I told, I don't think so. Um, the worst experience I had was shocker, Anime Expo 2018. And I was meeting with someone outside of the con to do shoots, or 2019. I was meeting with someone outside of the con to do a shoot just somewhere in LA. And they sent me the name of the place. And so I Googled it. This was the night before I Googled it. And I was like, okay, it's this place. And the next day, get suited up and go to meet up with them. And it takes me not to where they are. And so I asked,
Oh,
what's the name of the place you're at? And they sent it to me again. But this time they give me like an extra word of the name. I don't remember what the place was, but they added like an extra word. So when I put that in, it took me somewhere else, which was like another 20 minutes away. And I was like, well, I have another shoot after this that I have to get to. I can't like because at this point I'd already been traveling for like 20 minutes and I should have already been there and shooting. And what I ended up having to do was I had to talk to them about it, and I did the other shoot first because I was pretty much there, and then we met up after that shoot because I had a empty space there. And like through messages, it seemed cool, like it was fine. And then we did the shoot, and it was a couple, and one of them just like I understand that they were probably upset they had to wait for me and all that kind of stuff, and it was miscommunication. But like the photos didn't come out great because they just looked unhappy. And I was like, you're still paying for these and like we're still doing your shoot and don't you want to like your photos after waiting that long and paying for it? But I ended up just editing their photos that night and delivering them that day. So I could kind of just like close out the chapter on that. But it was really uncomfortable because I was like picking through the photos trying to get the good ones. And they just looked incredibly unhappy, even though the settings were cool and their partner looked like, super into the photos. And it was just an uncomfortable experience. Really uncomfortable.
kind of like prison photos in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, like they wouldn't. I don't think it was out of the character's context to smile, but it wasn't even like they were straight faced. Like they looked like frustrated and irritated.
I mean, it didn't sound like it was your fault. They kind of did it to. It sounds like they kind of did it to themselves with like misleading you with to all these random places.
Yeah, I mean, they gave me a different. I mean, it was kind of the same name, but the second one had an extra like modifier, so it took me somewhere more specific as opposed to just this random district over here. So yeah, it was not a great thing.
It happens.
Yeah.
Now, do you have like a favorite photo shoot that you've done? Like it's probably like it's like your all-time favorite. I'm sure you have a bunch, but I'm sure is there like one specifically that was fun to do?
Man, I want to say there was one time that I got together with other cosplay photographers and cosplayers, and we went to a studio in downtown LA. And we got to do like roof. There was obviously like the inside sets, there was like a sequin wall, and there was one room that had like a whole white, like so it was like a seamless backdrop, so it just looked like it was a white void. But my favorite part of it was the first thing we did was we got access to the roof and got to do photos. Like it wasn't still golden hour because some of the cosplayers showed up not entirely ready. But it was just after. So I guess it was a little more into the blue hour, but it was still like kind of warm skyline and then the the cityscape of LA in the background from the rooftop. And it was close. It was, I mean, probably 2 minutes from like the center of downtown. So the photos came out really. I hadn't ever shot in a setting like that. I shot outside of cons, but it was like parks or forests or whatever. So I prefer industrial scapes, especially for editing. It's way more fun for me. So all the photos from the rooftop, every time I look at them, I'm just like, I want to do that again. It was so much fun.
It sounds like it was a really fun experience, especially, getting like collaborating with a bunch of other cosplayers and photographers. I'm sure that
Yeah,
like
I mean,
really was
yeah, two of the other photographers I already knew at least fairly well. But if we saw each other at cons, we'd say hi, maybe hang out a little bit, whatever. We're always like liking each other's photos on Instagrams and stuff. So, it was kind of almost not really a friend meetup, but at the same time, it was like these are your peers, and you're getting to create really cool stuff with them. And it was just kind of a cool bonding experience, honestly.
nice. Now, before we end this, any advice you like to give to cosplay photographers who are considering on, wanting to get into this, or any advice for cosplayers who are wanting to have a photo shoot done for them?
Cost photographers, I'd say charging free is probably better than cheap because if you're not confident enough to charge your worth, you probably want to get more experience under your belt. Because I know when I first started charging, I wasn't entirely confident yet, but I had a friend that was like you need to start charging. And like I did a shoot with them and they like gave me $10 and they're like, start charging for your photography. Okay. But because of that, I put a lot more pressure on myself and tried to go past my means of what I already knew how to do to try to deliver because people were paying now. And I feel like it's better to do free shoots, see what you could improve on, and look at information. Like YouTube has so much free information for editing and composition, all that kind of stuff. And I didn't shoot like at all during quarantine, and I still came out of it being able to edit better and more to what I could see in my head than a year and a half before. So like education is free and easy and it's worth it. Um, and then once you're ready to start charging, make sure you are taking into account like if you're going to this con, take in consideration your expenses. Because otherwise, if you're charging and you're not, charging your worth, it just kind of undermines the price. You don't want to make other cosplay photographers not book because all of a sudden everyone's expecting $20 for a shoot as opposed to 50 because, they don't value the photos as much. Um, which is not to say anything lesser of cheaper cosplay photographers. I just want to see them, charge their worth and make the money that they can out of it because it's their art and they put, you're an artist.
No, not to mention they're going out of their way to meet you at some location to do a photo shoot and everything. Like
Absolutely. I mean,
they're putting the money and the effort and the time, mind you, to
yeah,
go out
yeah,
go
it's
to
not
go
just
do
a
this photo
shoot.
shoot. Even if it's at a convention, they're having to walk through the vendors hall through all these people just to meet you at this one specific location at the con or somewhere outside the con.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, it's just a photography perception for mostly Karens. But oh, it's just you're just pressing a button. But it's not. You have to have the know-how of composition and angles and just the lighting around you and how to interact with it.
Well, I
And then
mean,
it's editing afterwards and all
oh
the
yeah,
know-how.
oh no, no, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, to put in perspective, it's something it's the way I see it. You're the painter, your camera's the brush, and the subject is your canvas.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's how I've looked at it for the past couple years, ever since I started photography. Like people don't realize it's not just about pressing a button. Is the angling, the lighting, the area you're in, finding the best spot and the right position, and how that you're especially if it's a person, how they're posing, especially if it's
Yeah,
cosplayer. You know,
yeah.
it's like,
Which is, I think, a kind of I know for me it was somewhere I needed to improve on, but I think cosplay photographers in general need to definitely focus on, some of them are great and they know what they're doing, but less established ones need to learn more about posing. Because I know for me, for a long time, I just would rely on, oh, well, you know your character, so pose like your character. And then I would work around that. But there are some things as far as like triangles, where they're holding their arms, how they're holding their posture, or their shoulder angle, or that kind of stuff that you can take note of and say, oh, can you lower your hand this way, or can you raise this shoulder a little bit? And it can make all the difference in a photo. And that stuff, it will make you stand out because it'll look more professionally done. So as far as just the scape of cosplay photographers, if you don't know a lot about posing, learn. It's worth it.
oh, most definitely. Now on the subject of cosplayers trying to book a photographer for a shoot, I know there's a lot that can be discussed with that, but some quick little advice for cosplayers who are wanting a photo shoot done for them.
Well, at least in the Southern California scene, we've had a lot of photographers that have had to be canceled for very valid reasons. Usually for, creeping on their models or being inappropriate or whatever. Um, talk to people that they have shot with before if you're not sure about someone. I feel like most cosplayers would probably be comfortable if you messaged them and were like, oh, hey, I'm looking to book a shoot with this person you've shot with before. Can you tell me, was your shoot with them, was it comfortable? Did it feel safe? Did they do anything weird? And always, if you're uncomfortable, like bring someone with you, because if they say, no, don't bring anyone with you, like that's clearly a red flag. But if they're hesitant as far as like, oh, well, I'm only shooting, like you're only paying for, the one model, then just reiterate, oh, it's just there, for me to feel safe. And then if they're fine with that, then that's good. I
Oh,
know some photographers might get like, oh, well, I don't want to, I'm not shooting two people. But if they're just there as emotional support or just to make you feel safe, like that should never be off the table. I should always be allowed. What?
oh no, wholeheartedly. I had a cosplayer photographer who I interviewed yesterday. Well, I
Mm.
mean, they were basically saying that they had a model with them, and then that model brought friends with them, and instead of just having her friends stand around, the photographer, made use of them to help with, hold this or help with the wig or stuff like that.
Yeah,
Make
yeah, you
make
get you
make
get
make make use
free assistance.
make crack that whip, say, hold this, or make sure this fans this way, or if there's something wrong with the dress, help them readjust it, or the wig, make use
Yeah,
of that cosplayer's friend, so they're not just standing around.
yeah,
Take
especially
advantage
in
of it,
things.
and crack that whip.
Yeah, right. But especially like what you said with having like their friends adjust the wig or cosplay, that is like another great reason to have someone with you, because I know when I'm trying to help pose someone, sometimes it's hard to say like, oh, can you move your wig this way, because you know how you want it to look, but they don't.
And
But then they'll
sometimes that cosplayer could feel uncomfortable too. If
exactly, you don't want to, just go touch someone like that's them. You want to make sure either they're touching their own cosplay or you ask beforehand. But if they have friends there, you can just say, oh, hey, can friend do this? And it's a lot more comfortable because yeah, they're comfortable with that person. That's why they're there with them.
wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Now, before we end this, any last minute thing you would like to say in general about this podcast to let others know who are listening?
Um, yeah, listen to the other ones. They're actually really fun to listen to. I'm not a really big podcast person, but like I listened to one to kind of like get an idea of what it was going to be like before we did this, and I just started listening to the other ones because it's interesting to hear other experiences within the cosplay community, especially going back into con season kind of now. I think it would help to make you have kind of an expectation of what I mean, just what the situation is, how other cosplayers think and interact with each other and all that. Now there's all these new people coming in and going to their first cons for the summer.
Oh no, definitely. I think that should wrap it up. Again, Haley, thank you for coming on to share not only your cosplay and convention experience, but also your experience as a cosplay photographer. I think any of those who will listen to this will appreciate it, but not just only being educational, but also kind of like an idea of what cosplay is like and everything. So again, thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was fun to come and chat.
Oh, of course. Again, everyone, thank you for listening to this episode of Cosplay Con Talks. Get to know that cosplayer. As always, thank you for listening, and until next time, thank you for watching.